what's up and welcome. I'm the one and only West Coast King, and welcome back to Major League 90, where we are talking Major League Soccer. The first week of the regular season is done, in the books. It's over with. Some teams looked really, really good. Other teams, not so much, at least not what we expected them to be, and we're going to go over a few of the results here today. But before we actually get into these results, I kind of have a little bit of a beef. I have a little bit of a problem with the way the MLS does a couple of things. One of those things is actually something the NFL does very, very well. I don't like a lot of things about the NFL. It's one of the reasons I don't really watch the NFL anymore. I've kind of gotten sick of the stuff they do. But one of the things that they do really, really well is that the reigning champion from the season before always plays the first game of the season. They play it at home, and they usually play a less than threatening team, we'll call it. They're bad. They play a bad team, okay? They usually play a bad team at home for the first game of the season, albeit on a Thursday night, which I don't really think is a very good idea, but still, they get a home game to start the year against a mediocre, at least, opponent, and it's a good time. You know, you raise the banner, everyone's feeling great. Yeah, Super Bowl champions. We're the champs, yeah. Not in the MLS. No. The first game this year is Portland at home to take on Minnesota United. Please explain to me why that wouldn't be the Seattle Sounders at home. Why not have the reigning champions at home against an expansion team? They raise their banner, it's CenturyLink Field, 55,000 going crazy. It's a great time. No, instead it's at Providence Park in Portland, and they absolutely mollywopped Minnesota. I don't want to say they mollywopped Minnesota, okay? They played well. Portland 100% deserved to win that game. They ended up winning it 5-1. But that game was a lot closer than that scoreline might suggest, okay? They went up 2-0. Great. Portland played like I said, they played very, very well. But Minnesota got themselves back into that thing. They made it 2-1, I think with like 15 minutes left to go. And then Demidov, the center back for Minnesota. Who is he and why is he playing this sport? He had one of the worst games that I've ever seen a center back have. Should have been called for a penalty in the first half. He actually hoisted Fernando Adi up and threw him to the ground. I don't know how that wasn't a penalty. 100% should have been a penalty. In the second half, right after Minnesota scores to bring it back to 2-1, he gets a penalty called on him. He doesn't. He sucks. He's just bad. Oh my God. Minnesota had some momentum. They just scored. They're starting to feel it. They're starting to get it together. And then Demidov just completely dumps all over whatever Minnesota had going there. Valeri steps up, pops home the penalty, makes it 3-1, and it was game over after that. Minnesota gave up. Addy added 2 late ones in stoppage time, and it ended up being 5-1. I mean, the whole thing just snowballed and got way out of control. Minnesota was just done after that penalty. But, yeah, they looked like an expansion team. Minnesota 100% looked like an expansion team, and it would have been nice if the reigning champs could have had that game at CenturyLink Field to start off their season. Instead, it went to Portland, which makes me even more salty. But that's okay. That's okay. It is what it is. Portland gets the first win of the season. Kudos to them. So let's talk about Seattle now, the reigning champs. They're on the road in Houston. Not only do they have to start off on the road, yes, against the team that finished last in the Western Conference, but I don't think Houston is that bad this season. I still think they're not great, but I don't think that they're as bad as they were last season. I think they might be a little bit better. But give them credit. They came out in the first 20 to 25 minutes. They just went after it. They were more aggressive. They just wanted it more. And they surprised the Sounders, who looked very, very slow, very lethargic, and very confused about what the hell they were supposed to be doing. They haven't even met each other before. Do I pass you the ball now, or do we kick it long? What are we doing here? Wait, what sport are we playing? It's they were so bad that first 25 minutes, had no idea what was going on. They went down 2-0 early on, and then after that, though, all Seattle. They flipped the switch. They figured it out. They're like, oh, yeah, no, the Sounders, Rafe Green. No, yeah, we got this. And they dominated the rest of the game. They got one back. Clint Dempsey in his first game back after, 6 months off, scores a goal, and they dominated the second half. And it was unfortunate they couldn't find another goal to bring at least a point away from that. I mean, the last 2 times they played in Houston, they scored a 94th minute equalizer. 100% thought that was going to happen again. The game was shaping up so that would happen again, but it just wasn't meant to be. And they lost 2-1 on the road. But not only do they have to play Houston to start the season on the road, they now have to go to Montreal on the road before coming back home for their first home game of the season against New York Red Bulls. Like, that's an easy game to play at home. Shit, they're the best team. They might be the best team in the Eastern Conference. They had a bit of a shaky start to the season, but they picked up 3 points on the road. I think they were the only road team, or one of 2 road teams, to actually win a game this week. So, I don't know. It's going to be a tough first few weeks for the reigning champs, but I think that second half was very, very promising for them. I think that they're going to be okay. If they can pull a point away from Montreal on the road and then come back against New York, I think they're going to be all right. So I mentioned that New York was one of only 2 teams that won on the road this week. We'll get to that game in just a minute. Let's keep going with the games that happened on Saturday, though. The other team to win on the road. I guess it wasn't a bit of a shocker, but they're 2 of the best teams in the Western Conference this season, in my opinion at least. Dallas was on the road in Carson, California against the LA Galaxy. Now, in case you're not too familiar with the MLS, the Galaxy do not lose at home. Like, almost ever. I think they lost 1 game last season at home to the Sounders. But no, they don't ever lose at StubHub Center. They don't lose. Like, almost ever. Like, maybe 1 game a season. First game this year, lost to Dallas at home. Dallas is good. They dominated that first half, didn't they? They looked unbelievably good. I don't know if it was so much Dallas looked good. LA's defense was abysmal. Demidov could go play for them. He would fit right in because they sucked in that first half. They were giving up chances left, right, and center, and Dallas fully deserved to be in the lead. And they did take the 1-0 lead, but then an iffy penalty call. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't know. There was a penalty call there. Dos Santos steps up to the penalty spot, just blasts it top corner, makes it 1-1. And from there, that's when LA woke up, and it was a really, really good game the rest of the way. Jermaine Jones hit the post on a header off of a corner. LA Galaxy looked to be back in this thing, like they could go on and get the winner. But then Dallas, they snuck in there, man. Kellen Acosta, I don't know how he scored the goal, but he did. And Dallas came away 2-1 winners. It was a very impressive performance from Dallas. The first half was very, very good. Second half was but they came away with a win, and that's all that matters. To beat an LA Galaxy team in Carson, California at the StubHub Center, not a lot of teams can say they've done that recently. So kudos to Dallas. I said they were going to finish 3rd, I think, this season in the West. They're definitely a top 3 team. I don't know if they're better than 3rd, but they're definitely one of the better teams in the Western Conference. Would not be surprised if they went on to win the Western Conference yet again. The rest of the games on Saturday were kind of uneventful. A couple of 1-0s, some 0-0s, a 1-1. Nothing too crazy. I mean, what do you expect? It's the first week of the season. You expect someone to come out and score five goals? Yeah, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? Fucking Portland. But on to Sunday we go now. And those were some good games. Orlando playing at home in their first game at their new park. That stadium is absolutely gorgeous. And the fans were there to back that team up. It was a I'm 2,000 miles from Orlando from where I am. And I could feel the energy coming from that stadium. That was just a great atmosphere. 2 teams that somehow have a heated rivalry. I guess it's coming into the league at the same time, Orlando and NYCFC. It somehow feels like a derby match, and it was very hotly contested, and Orlando came out on top 1-0 in it was kind of a little bit of an uneventful game as well. And unfortunately for Orlando, even though they got the win, they lost Kaká. I think it was like 11 minutes into the game, Kaká went down, and all reports are it could be bad. I don't know how bad. I haven't heard anything since then, but if they lose Kaká for the season, that could be devastating, because from what I saw in front of that home crowd, if that shows up for their home games this season, that's going to be a tough place to play. And I would not want to go down to Orlando this year. Last year, Seattle went to Orlando and stomped them out. Dempsey ran wild on them, had a hat trick. I don't want to go to Orlando this season. That place was bumping, and I just want to, give credit where credit is due. Beautiful, beautiful game from Orlando. I enjoyed every minute of that match. I watched from start to finish. It was a fantastic game, and congrats to Orlando for getting the first win at home in their new park. Now, I mentioned New York Red Bulls, how they won on the road this weekend, so let's talk about that game. New York Red Bulls are New York Red Bulls. I don't think they really looked any different. They ground out a very, very, very hard-fought victory on the road against Atlanta United, another expansion team. I said Atlanta, if I had to pick one of the two expansion teams, Atlanta looks like a competitor. And they proved it. They played very, very well. I have nothing but praise for that team. And just to kind of, put this in perspective, okay? Atlanta played at Bobby Dobbs Stadium, okay? Home of Georgia Tech football. In front of 55,000 fans. That was the fourth largest attendance for any game in the world this weekend. The fourth largest, and it's an expansion team in the MLS. Like, I know they lost the game, but you have to feel a little bit proud, right? I feel proud for them, and I'm like 2,000 miles away. All right, I'm excited about this Atlanta team. Clearly, that city is as well. If they have that fan support behind them, they're going to be a scary place to go and play as well, especially in front of 55,000 fans. I mean, not a lot of people in the MLS can play in front of that. I think only Seattle has that many people. I'm not sure what Orlando's capacity is for their new stadium, but it might be Orlando, Seattle, and Atlanta as the teams that have the biggest stadiums. Because, wow, that was another bumping game. Like, the energy in that stadium was electric. And Atlanta came out and got the 1-0 lead. They looked really, really good. And just like I said, New York Red Bulls were New York Red Bulls. And they fought back tooth and nail. That's just what they do. They get these victories. And they did it again. And again, like I said, I think I picked New York Red Bulls to finish third this season. They definitely look like a top 3 team just like Dallas. I don't know if they'll finish higher than that, but they're definitely one of the best 3 teams in the Eastern Conference. And they proved it yet again. So to wrap up this first week of games, I'm not going to do like a full team of the week, because that's just way too many players. I didn't see every single game this week, but I watched as much as possible. I'm going to do instead like an NHL thing. Shout out to hockey, man. I actually really like the NHL. I like hockey a lot, but I'm going to do an NHL thing here. I'm going to go 3 stars. My 3 stars from this weekend, aside from, Orlando's new stadium and the support in Atlanta, those are shout outs as well. But the 3 players I thought that had really, really good weeks. Number 1, Fernando Adi. He could be a Golden Boot candidate this year for Portland. If he is, they're going to be just fine this year. They will definitely make the playoffs. He was an absolute monster against Minnesota for the full 90 minutes. Got the reward at the end with 2 late goals. He was absolutely just a beast in that match. Number 2 is going to be David Accam from Chicago. He was just everywhere. He is the man in Chicago. Despite all their new acquisitions, he is still the guy. When push comes to shove and they need a goal the most, they were down, they needed a goal, it's still David Accam. I mean, he could have a massive season this year for Chicago with all that new talent they put around him. He just looks like an absolute stud. And number 3, I'm going home here for Clint Dempsey. Yes, I'm picking a sounder. Despite they lost, I'm still picking a sounder. All right, I put a timber in there. Shut up, okay? I picked a timber. Allow me to have a sounder in there as well. I'm going Clint Dempsey, all right? Emotional pick. 6 months out with a heart ailment. Comes back in his first game. Scores a goal. I mean, it's just Dempsey, isn't it? It's just a deuce thing, isn't it? All right, so that's going to be it for this one. If you did enjoy it, make sure to let me know by leaving a like below. Subscribe if you're new. I'll see you when we come back for some more Major League 90. See ya.